Good morning. Again today something a little bit different. This is block. You'll see fairly high-end product, at least in terms of its website. Block is the creation of this guy, this dude. Perhaps you recognise him, perhaps you don't. His significance is, of course, immediately apparent. He's the co-founder of Twitter. A point we might make in general is that the people to watch in the entrepreneur space are in fact the people who create the products, like Jack Dorsey, not the people who buy the products, like Elon Musk. You can see here, you can't see here because my computer stopped working. Now, here's the interesting thing. These are the fundamentals of the company, and you'll see that the ticker here is SQ2. The ticker today is actually XYZ. The reason I'm showing you the fundamentals under the ticker SQ2 is because they're not available on the page for XYZ. You see the market capitalization. It's a very significant company. You'll see what it does. It consists of Square and Cash App. It also has Afterpay. It is a relatively new stock on the ASX, but it's been trading primarily on the New York exchange, and it operates on the ASX as a CDI. So one of the points I'm making here is that when you have a stock which is listed on the ASX as a secondary listing, there's a certain amount of information you can obtain that can be very relevant from the primary listing, which in this case, as I said, is on the New York Stock Exchange. So here are the financials of XYZ. This is only showing 2 years. The company was listed on the ASX in late 2021, and the transfer of the company, at least in the ComSec app, from SQ2 to XYZ, which was effective today, means that to a certain extent the data that's available on the ComSec app is a little bit limited. Well, more than a little bit limited. This is the chart for XYZ as it stands today. What you'll see is that the chart doesn't actually start until midpoint in 2022. The chart will no longer come up under the SQ2 tab, but it's actually been charting on the ASX, as I said, since 2021. Started significantly higher, dropped, and the interesting thing about it has been that it was butting its head against this line of resistance at $120 until late last year, when it broke through and achieved this high of about 154. Now, the curious and annoying thing, today at least, is that the MACD chart or indicator is not available on the XYZ tab in ComSec, so I can't show you the MACD. Now, there won't be a lot of people who have been watching this series since it's so new, but the essence of the BuyPoint ASX channel is analysis primarily focused on buy points indicated by the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. Where it's not available, there's not a lot that we can do. Another point that I make, I hope with sufficient regularity, is that while this channel is focused on the indicator of a buy point that you obtain through the MACD, the essence of technical analysis is that you never operate on one single indicator. You really want to have as much context as possible. Essentially, you want to have a second technical indicator at least that the stock is about to go up. But the wider the context, the wider your knowledge of any stock, obviously the better situated you are to make any kind of judgment about the stock. The way you find out about a stock, obviously, is by Googling it. And this is what came up when I Googled this stock this morning. The significance of this is a matter for conjecture. Obviously, this law firm wants as many people as possible to know about the class action because they want people to join the class action. Whether or not it's going to have an effect on the stock price, we'll have to wait and see. And here's the point of interest. So the MACD on the Australian listing isn't available this morning. What we do have is the MACD on the New York Stock Exchange. If you go to the exchange page and have a look, you'll see that the charting is pretty similar. Not exactly the same, because what investors are going to be doing on two different exchanges will vary, but you have this recent growth. What you have here is a buy point. The longer term moving average line is cutting across the shorter term moving average line below the zero line. So at least in New York, today is the first opportunity that you have had to buy into this stock since back in August last year, which was the last buy point. Now, is that definitive in terms of what's going to happen on the ASX? It's a matter for judgment and observation. What I thought I would do is introduce people to my wider analysis for my paying clients, which is contained on this spreadsheet. And you can see I've been tracking SQ2 or XYZ as it now is since April last year when I started this whole process. And if you can't read that, I'll just make it a little bit easier here. The point with Jack Dorsey is that he has a track record of success. That was what initially attracted me to the stock. And as you'll see, at one point, one buy point led to a 40% profit in 3 months. That's what we're aiming for. Investing in stocks or choosing to buy into stocks at a point when they are likely to grow, but only with stocks that are likely to keep on growing. Adios.